Welcome back, all you Treasure Hunter fans and Treasure Magazine fans. DC once again with another issue. This is April 69 of Long John Latham's True Treasure. Pretty cool. This is a really gnarly cover. I like this cover. It's pretty cool. Learn how to find coins, Bonanza and Pirate Gold, Ohio's Lost Silver, Confederate Gold in North Carolina. I remember that story. Exclusive treasure of the SS Merida. So here we go. Pretty much the same on all the inside covers. There's a rundown of the stories. Oh, let's see, artist. Where is the artist? Wow. Oh, there it is. Cover artist, Eugene Shortridge. Pretty cool. Good artist. There's some back issues. Letters to it. Let me get a little closer here. Be able to see it better. You have to just keep moving it back and forth. With the publisher, panning for color. There's the rest of it. And the rest of the letters. And a bunch more. The letters were one of the more interesting parts of this magazine. To see what people were saying and some of the treasure stories that they would come out with or come up with, suggestions of stuff they heard about and whatever. Okay, back. This is pretty cool. Bonanza and Pirate Gold in Colombia. The Bay of Cartagena. That's one of the few things that wasn't melted. Probably most of what you're going to find, if you find that stuff, it's going to be the bars and the coins that they melted, or the melted into bars and coins. Now some of it they didn't, but most of it I think they did. That's another good artwork in this story. There's an old fort, Cartagena, Colombia Historic Fort, San Felipe. And here's the rest of that. It's a fairly long story. Yes, probably the main story. It looks like it's probably 6-7 pages. That's pretty cool looking. There's some of the artifacts that was not melted apparently. Gold earplugs and of the Incas retrieved from a sunken treasure ship in the Bay of Cartagena. Those ones that they must not have had time to melt down, because normally they would melt that stuff into bars, because most of the idols and stuff were a little more bulkier, so they could pack more stuff into the holds by doing that. So, hang on. Okay. Paiute Gold of Three Peaks. Not sure where that is. Let's see. Colorado. On the Nevada side of the Colorado River. Okay. Cool. Placer gold, which means they were pretty much right on the surface back at that time. Would have been cool to do that back then. Same with North Carolina. I would have loved to have went up and down the streams of North Carolina and Georgia, North Georgia, during the just before the gold rush, or even during the gold rush in the 1840s. Of course, at the time, the gold wasn't worth that much, but it was so plentiful, it didn't have to be worth a lot. It's quantity over quality, basically, on that deal. Of course, at the time when it was fresh, the biggest nuggets and stuff would have been still there, you know. It was fairly fresh. Jesus. Fucking cat won't leave me alone. All right. Ohio's Lost Hoard. Interesting. There's a cool... I don't know if that's part of a map or what it is. It probably is. Spanish did a lot of signs and symbols to point to stuff they buried, or to mark as show landmarks and stuff like that to where something might be, whether it be a gold vein or a stash or whatever. Pretty rugged looking country. There's another one that's probably 4 or 5 pages long, it looks like. More photos. Treasure book bargains. Bunch of those at that time. There's some more markings. Pretty cool. Well, that's definitely an arrow pointing somewhere. But most of the Spanish markings that they did were not that obvious. They were symbols and stuff that basically, unless you knew what they were, it would be hard to figure it out. That's pretty interesting right there. Caretaker of the oldest house in San Rafael. Are thoroughly familiar with the legend of the buried gold ingots. Yeah, I bet these two are. I wonder if they ever found them. If they did, they probably never said anything if they had any sense. That's the problem with a lot of this stuff. Most people know better. That if you find it, don't say anything. Because the government or somebody is probably going to make claim on it. And if they don't, they're going to want at least half of it anyway. As taxes. So that's something you have to be aware of. The only drawback to that is, depending on what you found, what form it takes, it's kind of hard to sell, except on the black market. Raw gold, different story. It's actually even easier to sell the gold bars, because you could always remelt them into a different shape if there's anything that identifies them as being of Spanish origin or something like that. So here's another one, Clark County catch. That is, where's that at? 50,000 in gold. Wow. Let's see where this is. Clark County. Yeah, Clark County where? Oh, Idaho. Okay. I'm unfamiliar with that name, Clark County. There's another Clark County, I believe, but it's not Idaho. Hummingbird Bar. That's cool looking. Little short story. I like the little short stories like that. Pretty neat. Well, yeah, like I was saying, a lot of these things, if they were found, you'll never know it because the people were smart enough who would have found them, if they're real treasure hunters, not to say anything. They know not to say anything about it because they know they're going to lose most of it, if not all of it, depending on what it is and where it is. Mel Fisher's a good example of that. Fighting over the Atocha. The Spanish tried to claim it. What was it? The India company, the insurance, even though it was 500 years ago or 400 years ago, they still tried to make claim with it. And then, of course, the U.S. government, because it was found off the Florida Keys. So he won. Eventually, it took many years after he found it, probably at least a decade, I believe, maybe more. And after he lost his son and his son's wife and one other person, I believe, in one of the boats that sank overnight for whatever reason. I don't remember the whole story, but that was a shame, real shame, because within a I don't know if they had already found it or they were right on the verge of finding it. I can't remember. They were anchored over something that they had found and were in the process of uncovering it. So, because I know it took them a long time to follow the trail, because that thing, with all the hurricanes, had been spread in a trail across the ocean, all through off the Florida Keys because of the hurricanes. And it was many hurricanes over a lot of years, and it had time to really spread it around. One of the things that didn't really move very far were the cannons, that's for sure. And of course the gold, but a lot of the other stuff was just scattered over a few miles of ocean floor. So here's the SS Merida. And let's see what else we got here. Okay. 80-year-old president of Mexico. Wow. Okay, the rest of that story right here. And a comic and one more page. Well, maybe two more pages. That's a big boat right there. SS Merida. A couple more cartoons. Always like the cartoons on these things. Okay, here we go. Last of the letters page. It's like 4 pages of letters. That's pretty cool. Confederate $500 bill. Back then, after the war, worthless. Even during the war, probably was worthless, but not sure what they're worth now. The real ones, probably a little bit. Those were on almost like a parchment type of paper. Pretty interesting. And there's the bottle shelf, talking about collecting bottles. And there's the back page with a Garrett electronic metal detector. So there you have it, guys. Gang, girls, whatever. Hope you enjoyed that. I've got a few more of these to go, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't. Ring that bell, and later.